What about like Muck?
Um,
Wow, yeah, left you speechless, huh?
well, yeah. What do you say about Muck?
Yeah, you weren't expecting that one.
What would you say about Muck?
I would. I asked you the question.
2,
One. All right. So what's the topic on Pokemon?
Let's
The
let's
most
start.
interesting Pokemon, or our favorite Pokemon, or the
Let's
if
most?
start
you
with.
could be one Pokemon for a
Oh,
day,
oh, that's a good one.
That's a
Fine.
really good one. I like that.
and you could only be the Pokemon for a day, but when you become a human, you get to keep two of their abilities or powers.
Wow,
With
this is becoming really arbitrary.
arbitrary, are you kidding me? I think about this every
What do you
day.
mean two of their powers? You mean two of their moves?
Correct.
Oh, I know exactly what I would do then.
Well, then you can start with it because I have to think about this. This is a good one.
Ah,
So I think I would pick the same answer for who I'd want to be and what my favorite one is, and that's Gengar.
Ooh, that's interesting. Why is that?
Because he's a ghost and he can fly. Like that's like literally two when you say things in the when people ask you like what superpower do you want like invisibility or flying are like usually the top two. He's got both.
Well, is he invisible or is he visible but invulnerable? Because those are two different things.
Well, I guess good point. But I guess obviously when you're fighting him, like you can see him, but he's a ghost, so they can be invisible. And in that when you're playing the game in the tower of whatever it's called, um
That's what they called it, the Tower of whatever it's called.
yeah, very technical term.
Scenic Tower of whatever it's called.
Yeah, that tower of whatever.
That'd be a great name for a place in Pokemon, the Tower of whatever. I'm gonna say that Gengar is not the Pokemon I would pick, just
Well, no,
because.
no, duh, because that's the Pokemon I picked.
Thank you. No, I don't think Gengar is that great of a Pokemon in terms of
Oh
real
my
world
god.
value, because turning invisible or invulnerable and or flying doesn't seem like it just doesn't seem like that impressive
yeah,
of
it sounds like the stupidest pick I've ever heard.
Are
yeah.
you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh, I don't want to fly. I'm not. I think flying is kind of boring.
Well, Mewtwo can fly. Tons of Pokemon can fly, so that's not impressive. So really, you just have to get one other Pokemon that can be
He's
in.
literally, he can literally, like, nothing can touch him.
Well, yeah, but he's not the only Pokemon that can do that.
Okay, well, name another one other than Ghastly and Haunter.
That can fly and become invisible or invulnerable.
Yeah.
Probably Mewtwo.
I mean, Mewtwo, no, Mewtwo's a solid being.
That doesn't mean he can't become invisible.
And also, Gengar can do psychic abilities as well.
Yeah, I suppose that part is true, but we were talking about having only two afterward. So if you're talking about like choosing between moves, I think Mewtwo has more impressive moves to choose. They can do a lot of
Well, I
different
mean,
things.
Mewtwo's
Versus
a
like
legendary
Gengar, what's
Pokemon. That's
Gengar
like
going to be able to do for you? Turn invisible or
he can
invincible
he can
and then fly?
hypnotize you and then eat your dreams.
Turkey, you need to understand you made the wrong decision.
No, that okay. If you want to bring in legendary Pokemons, we can. But like Gengar is a
I
sweet.
said all Pokemon.
Well, then what about you know what? I'll pick what's that?
Oh, no. You get one choice.
No. I hold on. Let me have to look up this other Pokemon.
This other Pokemon to find the best.
No,
You already said
there's a
Gengar.
one.
You're already signed in. Are you backing off now?
No, but I still love Gengar. But if you're gonna go like that,
Well, it
um,
depends how we want to take it, I suppose.
oh, actually, interesting that this generic list mentions Mewtwo as the most powerful Pokemon of all time. I was thinking,
I don't
Arc.
know if that's true.
I know. I think Arceus is the one who literally created all Pokemon.
It's
Like, how's
literally the
that?
god of Pokemon. Yeah, it should. I think Arceus is traditionally like considered pretty much a god. So I would say
Yeah.
that's a good pick in
They
general.
picked they picked Mewtwo is number one, Mew is number two, and then Arceus.
And what? You didn't say what this list was.
This is the most powerful Pokemon of all time.
Really? And they're more powerful than Arceus?
According to 137pm.com.
Sounds legit.
And then they have Rayquaza, which sure. And then they have Lugia. I don't know. And then they have Alakazam as number.
First off, do you,
What?
other than Alakazam, do you know any of those Pokemon? Because they definitely were not the originals.
And then they have Ditto as number 7.
Some of them were in the sequel, Squirrely, which were like Ho-Oh and Lugia. Rayquaza was in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, which was like the third generation of it. So that might be why.
Oh, Gengar's number 8.
But I think there's too many Pokemon for us to choose and work through because there's just too many Pokemon and we might not be familiar with all of them. So I'm going to narrow this down and say, if you had to choose a type of Pokemon to be, and you got like the stereotypical powers based on that Pokemon type, which one would you choose and why?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that question.
There's a lot of types of Pokemon. Which one would you want to be and why?
A type?
Yeah. Like there's fire Pokemon, there's water Pokemon, there's poison Pokemon, there's dark Pokemon, there's fairy Pokemon.
I like ghost Pokemon.
Water, earth, fire.
I mean, although like if you want to be like, I don't know, like I guess obviously psychic is good too, but I feel like as a ghost Pokemon you can have psychic abilities and still be a ghost.
Well, that's part of it. So that's why I narrow it down to you just get the type. So you get some of the moves of the type and that sort of thing, but you can't get psychic moves and say, oh, I like the ghost type sort of thing and choose that. So you got to get the moves of the type and kind of evaluate it from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess ghost moves are not the best. I mean, they're good, but they're not like psychic is better.
They're not well defined, the ghost moves, like how exactly they work, because if they were ghost moves and they were intangible, they wouldn't work, right?
Right. I mean, dragons.
Unless you used foresight or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they work on some Pokemon, even though they're tangible, though. So I guess that's not really correct, right?
I know what I would not be is ground.
Why?
Because that is literally the worst.
By ground, do you mean rock?
No, that's actually a separate one. Because ground moves don't affect everybody.
You do like electric moves or ghost moves.
I thought you said you can only have the moves of your type.
Yeah, ghost moves don't affect normal Pokemon.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. 100% don't.
They don't affect normal Pokemon?
Yeah.
Hate to break it to you, Turkey.
Uh-oh, I am obviously not with it with
my fake Pokemon fan.
I'm not fake. I'm just original.
Fake Pokemon fan.
Can I just say that I think if I weren't a bird Pokemon, I think that I would want to be a rock Pokemon so that I could have the name Dude at the end of my name, or I can, like, my entrance song would be Bob Seger's Like a Rock.
I don't know that song, actually.
Or I could refer to myself as what's the term I'm looking for? I believe it's a Geodude Temple Pilots.
Do you remember Geodude's voice in the anime?
Yes.
I can't do it, but I'll try. It's like Geodude. It's like that.
Pretty good.
Nailed it.
And then occasionally he goes, dude.
Okay, so going back to the ghost thing against normal. Okay, fair.
I'm gonna go back to the rock thing real quick.
who's gonna pick normal? So why would I have to worry about that?
Well, I don't know. That would be a whole thing where, like, what are human beings?
I'm gonna pick normal. Normal's my favorite type. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Normal is the worst type.
It is. I will agree with that. I think normal is extremely boring. But let's put it this way. Normal is like all the moves, right?
No, so normal is literally like tackle.
Well, it's not just tackle though. You get hyper beam too.
I mean hyper beam, yeah, but hyper beam's like also not a great move.
I think normal's pretty relative.
I think normal is, if you want to be normal, that's fine, like good on you, but it's the worst.
I actually,
I mean, what kind of type is normal though? It's such a boring name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about, you're like, I can breathe fire. Like imagine like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, if there were 5 nations and it was Earth, Wind, Water, Fire, normal. Like it just wouldn't roll off the tongue the same way. You know what I mean? Like what would the normal people do? Like, like what would their bending power be? How would you define that? It's just kind of lame.
they just accept facts. That's their power.
Right. All right. Well, which one would you pick, you two?
Do you have an answer, Squirrely?
I believe I made myself clear. I would like to be a rock Pokemon.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
Why would that be?
I like the idea of being one with the Earth. Now I might that might be more applicable to being, was it a grass Pokemon or
A ground.
Yeah. Because part of me, I would love to be a Venusaur, but I feel like I'd be mightier if I were like Onyx or Geo.
I'm looking at Polygon.com, and if you're picking rock, you have the most weaknesses of any type.
That's fair, but within weakness, there's strength.
No. I will give you that though. You have one of the most super effective groupings too. You're super effective against bug, fire, flying, and ice, but you're weak against fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water.
That's true.
If I'm ghost, I'm super okay, according to this, I'm super effective against ghost and psychic, but I'm weak against ghost and dark.
And you can't hit normal.
Well,
but normal can't hit you.
I don't know if that's true in the newer ones.
It's 100% true.
Yeah, I mean, I see some sites that say it's not effective against normal, but I think
it's not just not effective; it does not hit.
Yeah, but
like
I don't
electric
know.
against ground or ground against
this one doesn't say normal. Well, whatever. But yeah, I will give you that just on the basis that I don't really care to argue about that. But
yeah,
I think
so I understand where you're coming from, because in the first generation, I think there were weird things with Ghost that made it not apply, sort of thing. Because Ghost was supposed to be super effective against Psychic, but it didn't hit it because they like programmed it wrong or something.
Right.
So it's weird. I understand where you're coming from.
All right, Peacock, it's on you now.
I think that I would be this. I think that I would be a. I would probably be a psychic Pokemon, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
According to Polygon.com, I'm going to eat my own words, because if you are ground, you actually have one of the most, the biggest group of super effective groups that you can fight, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, the thing with ground is it's important to remember that like Pokemon aren't evenly distributed among types, right?
Yeah.
There's like in Gen 1, there's an outrageous amount of grass and water Pokemon. So, and ground is almost always paired with rock. So that's what makes it kind of a problem, you know what I mean? Because you have to deal usually with both of those things that like will destroy your Pokemon immediately. So if you were like a rock or ground Pokemon, you might be really effective, but you also have to get paired with rock, and you're generally slow, and you're just going to get destroyed by most Pokemon. You know what I mean? Whereas Psychic's like the opposite, where they in Gen 1 there weren't any weaknesses to Psychic because they messed up the Ghost thing, but Psychic was still generally pretty strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was effective against a lot of types. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess some of the types aren't really well defined. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like to change my answer now.
What do you want it to be?
I want to be drowsy.
That's not a type of Pokemon. Why would you want to be drowsy? Drowsy is gross.
I know, just kidding.
It's so gross. I've never liked Drowsy as a Pokemon.
Or Slowbro or Snorlax. Snorlax is kind of cool.
I need to know how poison types work. What are the advantages or disadvantages of being like a poison type in this
I think, yeah,
situation?
poison is really lame too. There's actually a lot of lame types.
Yeah, that's why I kind of went through backwards where I was like, okay, I don't know what type I want to be necessarily or which one's objectively the best or something like that, but I know the ones I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be poison. I don't want to be I like Dragonite in the original series, but I don't know what a dragon type is outside of being a dragon. Whatever that means.
Eurogamer.net has oh, I have to accept all cookies, all of them.
You're gonna get all the cookies sent to your place.
Let's see. Normal. Oh, there it is. There it says it there. Resistant to ghost. All right, I'll give it to you. But normal literally is not strong against anything.
Yeah.
And then fighting has 5 that it's strong against.
Yeah.
Ground also has 5. And those are the only 2 that have 5. That's crazy.
Five
That they're super effective
advantages. Yeah, where their moves are super effective. Yeah.
Fighting and ground. So technically, fighting now has 6 weaknesses, and ground has only 3. So really, based on what I was saying, I'm actually wrong. Ground is technically the best. Now, it depends on how many Pokemon are in each, though, because ground is only effective against poison, rock, steel. Fire is a big one, and electric's a big one. But rock, steel, and poison, I don't know how many total Pokemon that is. But that's a pretty big group. So maybe I'm eating my own words. Maybe ground is really the best way to go, and I just poo-pooed it early on.
Well, here's the question, because we haven't really specified. Is there a difference between what's usable in the human world or most effective in the human world versus if you were to become a Pokemon and have that type, which one would be the most effective? You know what I mean? Because those are 2 different things where, and then of course there's defining what exactly the type would be in both the human world and the Pokemon world and its effectiveness. Like the Pokemon world's easy enough to say because you just say, oh, it's relative to the other Pokemon. So you choose an effective type like you're talking about, you get some, that would be a smart thing to do. And you can kind of do that objectively. But if you're talking about the human world, you're not talking about just Pokemon fights. You're talking about what's effective in our day-to-day life. And I think this kind of transitions to, we had a conversation about if we were, and this is really deep in nerd stuff. We're like Alice in Wonderlanding this in terms of how deep we are in, but we were talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender and the types of bending in that and which one we thought would be the best. And we're kind of getting into that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where we're in that world where what's the most effective in the real world in terms of types.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I think those
are 2 different things.
No, I guess if you're gonna pick a type, psychic obviously would probably be the way to go because you can literally manipulate pretty much anything.
Well, is that interaction with other Pokemon's minds though? And does that apply to humans? Well, it applies to humans because I think in the anime they established that people have psychic powers, but it's kind of similar.
The downside of that is you can't necessarily. I mean, theoretically, if you're if you are like a Mewtwo, you can pretty much manipulate anything you want with your psychic powers. But if you're only focusing on psychic being the brain, you can't really manipulate like rock and water and all that stuff.
I don't know if we've established. I think we should do it real world. Like, what's the most effective thing type wise? If you got all the moves, what would be the most effective thing in the real world? And I think Squirrely or Turkey, you're mentioning that psychic would be really useful because you can interact with other people's minds and you can also move things in general with psychic powers, which I think is established in the anime. But I don't know. What do you think, Squirrely, in terms of Pokemon types? What do you think would be the most useful in the real world?
I think Turkey's actually probably right about that. But I personally, I don't know. I was going for rock as more of a cool factor. But
Yeah.
I think any of the natural elements, so like probably a water Pokemon, whether it be for not specifically for fighting, but for home maintenance.
That's actually
always having access to the element that is water. If you're ever on the go and you don't have access to a shower, they can hook you up.
Now, can they create water or they have to be near it?
No, they can create water.
Oh, okay. Well,
Water Pokemon can, like when you talk about Squirtle and him using a water gun, he can.
Don't ask where it comes.
Yeah, they squirt it out of their bodies somehow.
Of their orifices.
Yes, thank you.
I think I went. Did we talk about the Airbender thing on the podcast?
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay, because that's kind of. I think we were discussing that too. But like, if you bend water, you don't create it. But I guess if you're Pokemon, then you do.
So yeah, you do. I think if you go by the anime stuff, they seem to create it out of nowhere, and Pokemon in the games don't seem to be restricted by a lack of water nearby.
That's interesting.
Keep in mind, if you're a waterbender and you're good enough, you can waterbend sweat or even blood.
Well, that's what my point. I think we were discussing this maybe just by ourselves then, which we should have made a podcast. We should never not record when we're talking. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like if you're a waterbender, you can literally probably kill people just by like stopping their blood or whatever from moving within their bodies. But same thing with Airbender too.
You can do that already. You can literally do that already in real life. If your goal is to like the point of that whole thing is that there are consequences to doing that would be developed based on you doing it, because they'd understand that people can do it. They wouldn't allow people to just like bloodbend people in real life. That's why even within that world,
try and stop me.
They look down on it. Yeah, they like look.
I thought this was America.
No, you cannot bloodbend people in America, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, don't tread on me.
You do not have the right to bear bloodbending.
I have the right. I have the right to do whatever I want. If you're an electric bender and you had a Tesla, you'd be set for life.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That would be something. That's an interesting type thing in and of itself. I think electricity is quite useful, given how much the modern world relies on electricity, and depending on how you can manipulate it, that would actually be maybe more useful than any of the the four bending types in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Electricity is included. It's part of being a firebender. You have to be.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, sorry about. I thought for some reason they were connected.
Wow,
I'm dumb.
I think you owe us a
fan.
Okay, so I'll say this: does that change our ranking of firebending? Because we put firebending at the bottom of the list,
which is interesting.
Wait, did we?
Yeah, we did. I think we all agreed on that.
I agree with that.
Oh yeah, because what was the other one? Water, air.
So like
Earth
I
and
actually
wind.
think
Earth
towards the top.
Or sorry, water, air, fire, and water.
Yep.
You just.
sorry. Water, and water.
Sorry, it's only water bending.
Water,
Earth,
air, and fire.
Air.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta say it like they say on the show.
Did we agree fire was the worst?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't agree with that.
I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of earth bending.
I think maybe you were the holdout that said that it was a debate between earth and fire. And I think earth is more useful than fire, certainly. And I think it might be more useful than water, because water is situational unless you're bloodbending.
I purely want to be a bloodbender.
What does this say about you as a person?
I want my mode of transportation to be bloodbending.
You can't move anywhere. Let you take the blood out of other people.
Peacock, do you know who Turkey would be? He'd be the only person who's able to take other people's powers away. Remember how the Avatar could do that?
Yeah, that's energy bending. That's a whole thing in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely be me. It'd be like, thanks. Yoink.
You're the heel of the podcast now after saying that.
Yeah, now I'm gonna be the villain.
Yeah.
I disagree with what you say. Goodbye, firebending.
Yeah, I guess earth versus fire. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you think of fire as just like this wave of heat, like you can block it with earth, but if you're adding the electricity to it, that jumps it up. But
Because there's
that's kind of cheating, though.
yeah, well, the question is, how does electricity work in this circumstance? Because in some media, I think people have portrayed electricity as being able to like get in your computer and alter it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so
That's
you're a
not-
hacker now.
Yeah, so it's like you could hack into computers, but that's not really how it works in real life. You'd be like, that's just not how it works because the electricity just powers your computer. It doesn't control it. So that's an interesting question in of itself.
I
Where
would be a programming bender.
you bend computer code.
I literally snap it in half. I'm a computer bender.
But you could hypothetically like control everything that ran on electricity.
That's kind of like X-Men too. Like, which power would you like from there? Like Magneto versus Professor.
Just Professor.
Professor X.
It's just Professor. He has no last name or no anything else. It's like my name is
Professor
Professor.
Xavier. I like Drew.
I think there's a lot of cons to being Wolverine, but I can't tell you how badly I want adamantium to come out.
I honestly think Wolverine is so bad. Like,
He's so overrated within the series. Like Hugh
like,
Jackman, great actor.
I got blades in my knuckles. Eh. I will say he can heal. Like, that's cool, I guess. So
That's the main thing that's really interesting is that he can heal and he's basically eternal.
Yeah, honestly, Wolverine is not all that he's cracked up to be. And then the other superhero that's also not as cracked up as as cracked up as he's cracked up to be, I don't really even know what I'm saying, is Batman.
Because Batman doesn't have any powers.
Batman's only power is that he's rich.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Well, he's smart too.
And he can. I mean, is he smart because he's rich, or is he rich because he's smart?
Well, it doesn't matter. He's smart.
Is he?
Do you even understand how good a shape he's in? I think you're underselling Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% be Superman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's without question. I mean, Batman is a great superhero, but he doesn't have physical talents.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, I'd rather be her. I'd rather be Aquaman. I'd rather be the Flash.
Aquaman.
I'd rather be
Well, I guess compared to Batman, yeah.
Spider-Man. I'd rather be Iron Man. I'd rather be if you want to talk about
well, Iron Man's the same way because he developed that suit.
Yeah, but at the same time too, he developed a sweet suit. Like
yeah, but then you're getting into, are you inheriting superpowers, or are you inheriting like the intelligence of the people or their circumstances?
Iron Man is a better, smart, wealthy superhero than Batman.
Okay, well, yeah, if you want to compare those two in that way,
Batman's like literally the worst superhero of all time.
Why?
Any further? Can we just imagine Turkey as Aquaman?
I think being Aquaman would be pretty cool, actually.
Oh, hey, big fishes, come over and protect me.
Especially after
tattoos, and I want to drink a lot of beer and not have it phase me.
Or Thor. Oh my God, being a god. Speaking of electricity,
you really think Batman's that terrible?
I mean, name a worse superhero?
Well, there's tons of them that don't have any powers or don't have anything outside of their own intelligence, and they just use
a lot of stupid superheroes. Like if you ever watch the series Flash, there's literally like he calls himself Elongated Man. All the dudes do is stretch.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess if we're gonna include every single quote unquote superhero ever, fine. There's probably worse.
Kind of what you asked us to
look
do.
at. Yeah, because the Batman franchise is all about people who really don't have superpowers in general. Like you look at Robin, compare Robin to Batman, and Batman's a lot better. Compare the Joker to Batman. What's the Joker's power?
I think your focus is all wrong. You're focusing too much on the concept of a superhero. Like,
I think Batman is a hero. I don't think he's super. So if you're gonna, maybe if you compare him to superheroes, he's bad. But if you compare to like regular human heroes, okay, fine. He's probably up there.
Yeah, well, that's because.
But the importance of Batman is it's that he goes above and beyond, and he accomplishes all of these tasks and keeps his city safe. Always.
Does he though? Does he when Gotham is literally like the most crime-ridden city of all time?
Well, it's not his fault. He's one guy.
Is it? It's not.
10 times worse.
Yeah, actually, does he ever get anything done?
Well, remember that I think Superman also canonically lives in that world. So if you've got a guy who's got pretty much superhuman or godlike powers, and he hasn't just fixed up Gotham and is leaving it to Batman, then who's the real troublemaker here? Why has Superman not cleared it up? Why is it on Batman to do that?
Is he
Superman's like a godlike being, and then you're like, oh, Batman hasn't cleaned things up and he's just an ordinary human, he's so terrible. But Superman's great, even though he's a god and he hasn't cleaned up anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you say to that, Turkey?
You know what I actually have to say about that?
What?
Do you know what I have to say about that?
I have to say the level of disrespect for Batman it's just too far, I gotta say.
Are you asking me if Superman is willing to prevent evil but not able, then he is not omnipotent? And is he able but not willing, then is he malevolent? And is he both able and willing? Well then, whence then is evil?
There's a question here, if I can get down to the root of this, of if we wanted to have superpowers, which superpowers would we have, and how do you define superpowers? And that's different than saying I would like to be like this person. You know what I mean? There's a difference between saying I would like to have the physical qualities of a person and saying I would like to be that person. And I think that's I think it's the divide.
Superpower has to be something out like that's superhuman that a normal human would not have. So that's the definition of what that means.
At this point, I agree with Turkey. I just don't want him to be right.
Yeah, I'm now taking the villain role. I'm an energy bender, and I'm now taking the energy of the villain.
I think I kind of want to be Flash.
That would be cool.
But no, wait, didn't we ask what power we want, not who we want to be?
Yeah, well, the question was, how do you want to define that?
Oh, so this is a definitional game now.
Well, yeah, because there's a difference between the physical powers of someone and being the exact copy of that person.
Thanks for taking a ride on Spaceship Piff. If you're interested in another trip, check out one of our other videos. And consider leaving a comment on our most recent podcast about how you paid it forward.